John Calvin on Psalm 114. When Israel went out of Egypt, the house of Jacob, from a people of strange language, Judah was his sanctuary, and Israel his dominion. The sea saw it and fled. Jordan was driven back. The mountains skipped like rams, and the little hills like lambs. What aileth thee, O thou sea, that thou fleddest? Thou Jordan, that thou wast driven back? Ye mountains, that ye skipped like rams, and ye little hills like lambs. Tremble thou, earth, at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, which turneth the rock into a standing water, the flint into a fountain of waters. The sea looked and fled, and Jordan turned back. He does not enumerate in succession all the miracles which were wrought at that time, but briefly alludes to the sea, which, though a lifeless and senseless element, is yet struck with terror at the power of God. Jordan did the same, and the very mountains shook. It is a poetical strain that the psalmist describes the receding of the sea and of the Jordan. The description, however, does not exceed the facts of the case. The sea, in rendering such obedience to its Creator, sanctified his name, and Jordan, by its submission, put honor upon his power, and the mountains, by their quaking, proclaimed how they were overawed at the presence of his dreadful majesty. By these examples, it is not meant to celebrate God's power more than the fatherly care and desire which he manifests for the preservation of the church. And, accordingly, Israel is very properly distinguished from the sea, the Jordan, and the mountains, there being a very marked difference between the chosen people and the insensate elements. Why was it, O sea, that you fled? The prophet interrogates the sea, Jordan, and the mountains in a familiar and poetical strain, as lately he ascribed to them a sense and reverence for God's power. And by these similitudes he very sharply reproves the insensibility of those persons who do not employ the intelligence which God has given them in the contemplation of his works. The appearance which he tells us the sea assumed is more than sufficient to condemn their blindness. It could not be dried up. The river Jordan could not roll back its waters, had not God, by his invisible agency, constrained them to render obedience to his command. The words are indeed directed to the sea, the Jordan, and the mountains, but they are more immediately addressed to us, that every one of us, on self-reflection, may carefully and attentively weigh this matter. And therefore, as often as we meet with these words, let each of us reiterate the sentiment, quote, such a change cannot be attributed to nature and to subordinate causes, but the hand of God is manifest here, unquote.